are edging ever closer to the November election. Early voting, believe it or not, is now just 2 weeks away.
It's going fast. Georgia's status as a battleground state draws a lot of attention to every new political development.
And at the same time, Georgia's new voting machines are getting a late software update after officials discovered a glitch. 11 Alive's Doug Richards looks at what's wrong and the rush to judgment to address it.
It is a problem because of a very unusual U.S. Senate race that has clogged, for want of a better word, some of the electronic ballots. But the ballot will actually have 20 names on it. Absentee ballots show the 20 candidates in a single lengthy column. To make the electronic ballot easier to read, the state is putting the 20 names in 2 separate columns on the same page. The state says that the problem is that on some of the ballots, about half of the names disappear when the voter scrolls the electronic page.
It was essentially trying to put 2 columns into a software that's normally used to looking at a single column.
State voting implementation manager Gabriel Sterling says a very small fraction of the state's 2 million machine-using voters were likely to encounter the problem. But the state didn't want to divide the 20 names into 2 separate pages out of fairness.
And we're working on getting it prepared to get it out to the counties so that we can have all the candidates on a single page.
The counties will have to physically load this update on every single one of their machines.
Yes, but they have to touch each individual machine as part of the normal logic and accuracy testing anyway. So this is just one more step in their normal process.
But it's not normal, says Atlanta attorney Bruce Brown. He says the state should punt the new voting machines altogether and use hand-marked paper ballots instead.
The software that we will be voting on for the November 3rd election has not been built yet. The election is upon us, and the state is now telling us, oh yeah, they're fixing it now.
James Woolsey is with us, former director of the Central Intelligence Agency. Briefly, James, Mr. Trump talked about a rigged system. Would you speak to that for 30 seconds?
Well, the part of the rigging that I'm the most worried about is recounts, because about 25% of our voting machines are screen touch, and they were changed to be like that after the mess in 2000 with the hanging chads and all that. And if you just touch a screen, there's nothing left, no paper or anything to check in case there's a dispute. So with respect to about a quarter of our voting machines, you can't run a check on them. You can't have a dispute that gets resolved by somebody looking at the paper trail. And if I were a bad guy from another country who wanted to disrupt the American system, particularly given how close this is in voting, or is likely to be, what a close race it's likely to be, I think I'd concentrate on messing up the touchscreen systems.
All right, James, thanks for being with us today.
NBC's Tom Costello is working the phones this morning to bring us the latest on the counting of the votes. I know you've been looking into some of these Postal Service delays we've heard about.
Yeah, this is very concerning, but bear with me because I need to explain it. You may recall earlier in the week the Postal Service said that 300,000 ballots had arrived at the Postal Service but had not been scanned for delivery. A federal judge immediately ordered the Postal Service to sweep post offices in affected states looking for missing ballots. The Postal Service yesterday refused to comply with the federal judge's order. Just now, we have received the latest on-time delivery for yesterday, for Election Day, and this may suggest ballots may simply still not have been delivered. Look at these numbers. The Postal Service says in Atlanta yesterday, it had an on-time delivery score of just 82%. Keep in mind, before the last June, they were running 95% nationally. 82% in Atlanta. We're still waiting for votes, as you know, in Georgia. 61% in another battleground state. Delivery rate on time, 61% in central PA, 66% in Pittsburgh, 78% in Detroit, Michigan, another battleground state, 72% in Greensboro, North Carolina, 76% in Lakeland, Wisconsin. Now, how does this affect ballots that may be out? Guess what? Those battleground states, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Georgia, have rules that you have to have your ballots in. They have to have arrived by mail yesterday. Those states do not offer a grace period. So now the Postal Service data this morning is suggesting that their on-time delivery rates were so bad yesterday, you theoretically could have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of ballots that still have not been delivered.
Out of the case of hundreds of pieces of mail thrown in a dumpster in New Jersey, and now a postal worker is facing charges.
Authorities say that empty election ballots and also political flyers were among the discarded mail.
Accused of tossing 627 pieces of first-class mail, 99 general election ballots, 276 campaign flyers, and much more over the course of 1 week in Essex and Bergen County. The Simons, who live along the suspect's mail route, are furious.
Oh my goodness. And I know my next door neighbor didn't get mail either. Yes, we were wondering what happened. We kept going out thinking it was going to come later and later, and then it didn't come until yesterday.
Investigators say Bouchine made the dumps between September 28th and October 2nd. The mail was destined for addresses in Orange and West Orange. Investigators were tipped off when residents reported finding mounds of discarded mail while throwing out the trash. Howard Dinger showed us the discovery he made in his North Arlington dumpster last Friday.
A USPS whistleblower in Pennsylvania taking back his ballot fraud allegations. The House Oversight Committee tweeting today that Hopkins has, quote, completely recanted his allegations of a supervisor tampering with mail-in ballots after being questioned by investigators, according to the Inspector General.
My name is Richard Hopkins. I am the postal employee who came out and whistle blew on the Erie, PA Postal Service, postal office. I am right at this very moment looking at an article written by Washington Post. It says that I fabricated the allegations of ballot tampering. I'm here to say that I did not recant my statements. That did not happen. That is not what happened. And you will find out tomorrow. And I would like that the Washington Post recant their wonderful little article that they decided to throw out there out of random.
They were grilling the hell out of me.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm kind of pissed. I feel like I just got played.
And so let me make good on that promise right away, okay? This storm is getting crazy, right? And it's out of a lot of people's control. And so the reason they called me in is to try to harness that storm, try to reel it back in before it gets really crazy. Okay?
I understand.
Because we have senators involved, we have the Department of Justice involved, we have
Trump's lawyers team's gotten a hold of me.
I'm not, well, I am actually. I am trying to twist you a little bit because in that, believe it or not, your mind will kick in.
Okay.
We like to control our mind, and when we do that, we can convince ourselves of a memory. But when you're under a little bit of stress, which is what I'm doing to you purposely, your mind can be a little bit clearer. And we're going to do a different exercise too to make your mind a little bit clearer. Okay.
Good to go.
So, but this is all on purpose.
Roger.
I'm not scaring you, but I am scaring you here.
I'll tell y'all, I'd rather be out back in Afghanistan getting shot at by Afghans, honest to God, than, you know, having to be in this kind of position.
Whoever is decided to be the president, remember, just because CNN says, or even Fox News says that somebody's president doesn't make them president. So I think everybody wants to know that this was done properly and legally.
What is happening? Like, Trace, we've called it.
But we wanted to start with where we are in terms of the election, the various claims that are being made.
It's been a week now since Election Day. Basically where things stand, all the networks, including the Associated Press, who we use here, have called the race for Joe Biden. Trump campaign is filing lawsuits and alleging that there is fraud. And I think that we'll start with Pennsylvania, which is the most important one. There was that compelling Philadelphia election officials to stop counting ballots. That was dismissed by a federal court judge. Then they wanted to compel state election officials to allow the Trump campaign officials closer observations of the counting process. Of course, a state judge ruled in the campaign's favor on that, and the court agreed to hear the case at the Supreme Court. Basically, what that allowed is that observers will get closer within about 6 feet, maintaining social distancing.
Hey, Allison, good day to you. So as you know, we were told it was going to take days to tabulate the vote, and that's exactly what happened. Despite these baseless claims of voter fraud on social media, right-wing social media for the most part, election officials and elected officials, including many Republicans, say the system worked as it was supposed to, and there simply is little to no evidence of fraud.
There is no evidence of any kind of voter fraud.
It was a red mirage.
What evidence of any widespread fraud have you seen in the count in Philadelphia?
I have not. I have seen the most fantastical things on social media, making completely ridiculous allegations that have no basis in fact at all.
It's like Bigfoot sightings. You shouldn't have to waste your time keeping up with stuff like that. Your time and your energy should be devoted in counting the votes. And from what you say, you've seen no evidence at all that anything untoward has happened in that process.
It seems like the only thing people are talking about today is the election. And some of that talk is over whether we can trust that all the votes are being counted. President Trump tweeted this last night saying he'd easily win with legal votes cast and claiming observers were not allowed to do their job. That tweet was flagged for being misleading. We are here now to debunk some of that. Let's show you what is happening in Arizona. Ballot counting rooms like this one in Maricopa County have live streams that anyone can watch in real time. You can watch this too at recorder.maricopa.gov. Just go there and you can follow that live stream. And the results in Maricopa County are stored in a computer server, not connected to the internet, so that means it cannot be hacked. Philadelphia, another key region counting votes, has a live stream as well. That's on YouTube on the Philadelphia City Commissioner's official page. You can go and watch this along with everybody else. These rooms have bipartisan designated workers to make sure all votes are properly counted. Really important for people to know that. When you look at those live streams, those look like my neighbors. They are people that I, live next to, and
it also reminds me of like a casino environment. You know, there's not any card counting going on. You can't do anything funny with your hands. People are watching. and people from both parties are watching.
Republicans and Democrats are in there.
And they're volunteering.
They're volunteering. This is their civic duty.
Yeah, these are real, true frontline workers, actually. Is there any job that's more important right now than counting the votes? I don't think so.
Yeah, they are essential frontline workers. And I know that the Pittsburgh Steelers sent dinner to one of the folks counting in Pennsylvania. That's really cool because they